Hi, Dad. Welcome back to another episode of Dave and Andy's Honest About Life. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Andy. How about yourself?
I am well, thank you.
That's
Question
good.
for you. We don't have a ton of time, just 5 or 6 minutes or so. What do you believe is the most important lesson you have learned in parenting?
Wow. Wow. You got a year?
we
Um,
got, we got, we got 5 minutes.
yeah. Most important lesson I've learned in parenting. Um, I guess I, I I would have to say, um, be honest, be honest to your kids because they know a lot more than you think they know. And I think that gives them a good basis for their life is to be honest, be true to yourself, be honest about life, but be true to yourself and um, and be consistent. I guess consistency is huge in parenting because if you're not, your kids are not going to learn very important thing, and that's be consistent.
So, do you mean that in the way that, let's just say, when you see parents, young parents out there with a young child, and um, they're out in public restaurant or wherever, and they say, if you do that again, I will do this, whatever this is. Do you is that what you mean by consistent, like follow through, or is it some other kind of consistency?
It is follow through, and remember, don't say things that you can't follow through with. Don't threaten them with something that you can't follow through with, because that didn't teach them a thing then. So if you're going to say something, if you're going to set some rules, follow through with those rules. Keep those rules consistent. So if you have multiple children, you tell your one child to do something, you got to make sure that you use that same rule on other children as well. It's tough sometimes. It's very tough to remember these things in the heat of the moment, and you threaten, but don't threaten something you can't follow through with.
Kids pick up on that, I'm sure.
Oh, huge.
You know, you think about, we've been around a while now, and we've seen, different generations coming through, and there's always this talk about, this generation of parents ruined it for the rest of us because they weren't, disciplinarians, or how did we ever get away from, teachers, um, and, having respect for teachers in the classroom, and you know, when and how did things change? So you wonder if, and by the way, you hear all the time that children crave, um, they crave discipline, they crave rules, boundaries. They need that. They need that. And you find out the hard way that they need that because you're very sort of lax with your rules, and you let them get away with too much, but you come to find out that they actually are looking for that discipline. Do you think, I mean, do you notice that in different ways when you were raising kids?
I totally noticed that they do crave boundaries because they're learning so much so fast, and they want to feel loved. And I think it's a weird way to look at it, but they feel loved when you give them boundaries. Um, they feel like you're taking care of them, by saying you can't go outside this boundary because you're not safe there. Stay inside, stay with family group, and have rules. I like rules in the family. I think that's a very important thing, and that way you can say we all follow those. Mom and dad follow them. You kids have to follow them as well.
That's a good approach. It's this global approach to rules, but it's an interesting concept that you bring up, that it is love that they're feeling when you're disciplining, or restricting, some of their movements and some of their behaviors. That's an interesting connection. that you
Right,
make.
because otherwise, I think you're conveying to them that you don't care if you don't set those boundaries. And you do care. You know, if you're a parent at all, you care about your kids. And showing them that by putting down rules and boundaries shows them that love.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. I am glad that we brought up this topic. That I've learned something new today that I hadn't thought about. What you say makes a lot of sense, and I hope others learn from that as well, in a good way, because I think it's been proven time and time again that children need boundaries, and what I have seen in my lifetime is getting away from some of the follow through. Like you say, threats, and we mean that in a nice way, but plenty of threats made, but very little follow through. And to your point, which is an interesting way to look at it, it feels like you don't like that you don't care, and that's really an interesting thought. Dan.
That's bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do care about our kids.
we do. Turns out.
Know.
All right, Dan. All right. Well, thank you as always. Wonderful to see you, and can't wait till next time.
Thank you, pal. I can't either.
All
Love
right.
you.
Love you, Dad. Bye now.